Alright guys, getting back in the swing of things. Took a quick break after the season was over. As you can imagine, you know, the aspects of racing are taxing on your physical side, on your mental side. Everybody needs a break, and after the season was over, I took a break. Food and water is what they got, and that was it. Just kind of put everything in neutral. All the birds kind of just stayed where they were, cocks in their section, hens in their section. I did split the race team up because they were laying eggs or mating up. Of course, they're at that age now where they're sexually mature, so you know, they're going to start mating up. Take it easy, take it easy. You can see we got an egg down there. It's probably a double hen mating. But nonetheless, we're getting back in the swing of things. I caught my second wind here, as you may be able to tell by the intensity of my voice. I'm excited again. Breeding season is right around the corner. There's a lot to do before before we can put the birds together. And honestly, what really brought this on, what really brought this excitement back on, was my buddy making a trip up to see me. If you guys follow along, Red Star Lofts, awesome guy. I called his bluff a few weeks back when he had a pretty bad toss and lost the majority of his birds. I told him if he ever makes it up to Michigan, I'll be more than happy to hook him up with what I consider my better birds. All performance-based, not just names or grandkids and sons and daughters of names. These are all birds that are performed at our level of performance here. As you can see, this year we had pretty good competition, 600-700 birds at any given time, and I did very well. We took 5 out of the 11 races, anywhere between 180 to 300 miles. So we did super. A lot of those birds, a lot of brothers, sisters to those birds, sons and daughters off the same meetings, all went to Mark. I was more than happy to give the guy the birds. I mean, he's a super individual. If you guys ever get a chance to meet him, by all means, man, make the effort. The guy's up and coming, and I'll tell you what, I would be surprised if he's not the guy we're talking about come next year. I mean, he came notebook, pen ready. I mean, before we touched a single bird, that man was writing stuff down. He was super eager to know, learn, and honestly, at this stage, I felt comfortable telling somebody how I do things. Not necessarily what to do, but how I do them. Unlike Danny, I'm sure you guys follow along with him as well. He's got years of experience. I mean, he's won everything that there is to win. So when he says something, you follow it. Unlike myself, this is my 3rd year, and yes, I've accomplished some success. I don't consider myself a champ by any means. I still struggled in a lot of races. I still struggle to pull birds down. So I don't want to give anybody bad information. A lot of times, guys that stumble across my channel have always told me, hey, your videos are pretty basic, and that's kind of why. I mean, honestly, I'm not going to sit there and make videos about how to do things, because the last thing I want, honestly, is for somebody to fail because they follow some program that I suggested, and it didn't work out for them because they're in a different area, different climate. They race differently than we do, and honestly, that's the last thing I want. And you can easily get carried away. I mean, it's human nature. We see something online or read something and it automatically becomes factual, and it really isn't, guys. I mean, same thing with birds. Just because somebody's advertising a pigeon that sounds too good to be true, it really is too good to be true, guys. I mean, pay attention to what the guys are saying. It's just repetitive information. Oh, it's real buoyant. Oh, it's one pin tail. Oh, it's real this, it's real that. Oh, the father is a son of this and his father is a son of that. No performance anywhere in the pedigree. It's just sons and daughters, grandkids, and it's nonsense. It's total nonsense. I've seen guys describe birds as powerful. Oh, I have these powerful grizzles. Are you kidding me? Can anybody explain to me what a powerful grizzle is? I mean, it's so redundant. It's unbelievable, but it's human nature. We're gonna follow along, and that's kind of why my channel is pretty basic. I'm not gonna sit there and tell anybody how to do anything, because the last thing, the worst case scenario is somebody fails trying to follow my methods and they're out of the sport within the first couple years, and I'd hate for that to happen. I would consider myself one of the biggest advocates to the racing sport, especially the sport of pigeons in general, and I'd hate for that to happen. So my videos are pretty basic. Getting off track here, guys. Mark made the visit. We went through my methods. I kind of helped him out with setting everything up and what he needs to do next. I do believe that his biggest challenge is going to be training. As anyone that works full-time, has a family, a growing family, the training is going to be the hardest part, getting the birds out there. The feed all remains the same. I mean, obviously you guys know your methods. It's going to depend on weather, it's going to depend on the area you're in, so I'm not going to elaborate too much on that, but the training remains the same. You have to train these birds. If you want to be competitive, these birds have to go down the road. Unless you're in a situation where you're surrounded by nothing but open field and your loft is the tallest structure on the property and your birds can open loft all day long, that works out. They may work out for you. But in my case, as you guys can see, I'm surrounded by trees. I cannot open loft. It does not work. The birds fly around for a few minutes, maybe half hour, and they immediately want to come down. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't condition the birds. There is a difference. There is a big difference between loft flying and road training. When you're road trained, that bird starts to pull to get home. That bird does not know it's 5 miles away compared to 500 miles away. All it knows is it comes out of that basket and it has to find its way home. So there is a big difference, guys. I know I've heard before, well, you know, 20 or an hour of loft fly is like a 30-mile toss. It really isn't. I mean, I'm just letting you guys know. I don't care if I'm wrong. I've proven to myself that it's not. It is not the same. Road training is a must. And if you want to compete, especially at the shorter distances where the drops are heavy, you have to road train these birds. At the long distance, as long as the bird is conditioned, I think it should do well. You know, the distance will really prove a bird's worth. But again, we may have 1 or 2 long distance races compared to, you know, 8 or 9 short distance races. So if you want to be competitive across the board, guess what? We have to train, and that's just inevitable. Nonetheless, guys, it was a great time with Mark. Super individual. I honestly wish he lived closer. You know, it's the kind of guy, like, and most guys, honestly, most guys, John Jay, Ham's Loft, Terry, I mean, just any guy that really puts out videos and is that passionate about birds, I guarantee you is a good guy. And, you know, anybody would, you know, have no issues breaking bread with the man, you know, splitting a beer with the man, whatever the case is. You know, it's just, they're good people. They're a joy to be around, especially when somebody's so eager to come up in the game, so eager to learn. I mean, again, before we even touched the single pigeon, he had his notebook out, pen ready, and he was grilling me on everything, and that was fine. Honestly, it made me feel, how can I put this without sounding arrogant, I guess. It made me feel proud that somebody took value in what I've done so far, you know. And that might sound vain, and I'm really not trying to sound vain, but you know, it does take a lot of effort. It does take a lot of effort, guys, and to win races against some of the guys that I race against, it's a matter of pride. You know, it's not so much a money thing, although it's nice to put back some money that, you know, you may have spent on feed and road training and gas and, you know, things of that nature. It's nice to put some of that money back, but in reality, for me, it's all about the pride. I want to do well. I want guys to say, hey, you know, hey, Adrian's here. We got to step up our game, you know, and I think I'm getting there. Honestly, I think I'm getting there. I have reduced the birds. I still have quite a bit of my race team left. Most of these birds are going to a local guy. He's just a fancier. He doesn't race. He's more than happy to take them, especially all the pretty colors. And some of the birds that did well, I'm going to keep for myself, and we're going to rotate the stock. I got rid of, honestly, about 17 pair. I wouldn't say pair. I'd probably say about 17 total birds from my breeding team. Just from lack of performance and the fact that I don't have the space for them. The ones that were bad went to a fancier. The ones that had potential that I did not get a chance to try went to a new guy that's in the club. He's going to try them out for me. And I kind of put them on what birds I would mate together. And I told him, hey, mate them over some of your stuff. You know, don't just consider my birds better just because. I said, mate them over some of your stuff. And if they happen to work out, well, we can always trade back. Or, you know, we can, you know, put a couple youngsters in each other's lofts, things of that nature, and still get some use out of those birds. I don't necessarily feel bad getting rid of them. But it is hard. It's hard when you haven't really tested a bird and you're just handing it off because, you know, the novice in me keeps telling me that, oh, that's a good one, that's a good bird. You know, you want to breed it again. He did this or he did that. And in reality, I'm setting myself back. the more pairs of breeders I put together compared to the space that I have available, the less babies I get out of it, if that makes sense, guys. You'll be surprised. I had a buddy who had over 45 pair of breeders, and at the end of the season, my 17 bred more youngsters than his 45. Fighting and broken eggs, and it's just chaos. It's chaos, and there's rules to follow. And that's the point I'm trying to make on this video. I think what's next for the channel, guys, I'm going to do kind of a vlog-based video segment here on what I do next in terms of getting babies ready for next year, even getting babies in general. The things you have to go through, at least the things I've gone through and have been, you know, successful with. Things like turning on the lights weeks ahead of time. I mean, again, all these things aren't revolutionary. These are all common practices, but some guys just don't think about doing them. You know, they kind of just old school it. They put birds together and expect the best out of them. And there's ways to manipulate these birds to get the maximum amount of, you know, whatever you want. Babies, yield, performance, whatever. There's ways to manipulate them in a positive way. I'm not saying manipulate them in some sort of negative way. Just attain as much as you can out of them. You know, you want to, I believe, to truly test a pair of birds worth, you need at least 3 rounds of babies, 6 youngsters, because you'll be surprised. One of my top performing pigeons this year, I bred 7 out of that pair. I lost 5 training, 2 raced, both scored 1 won a 250 for me, which was a money race. So it takes that amount of pigeon to truly test a pair of birds before you say, hey, you know, they were no good. 1 or 2 youngsters, not enough. You can't test a pair's value on 1 or 2 youngsters. So unfortunately, you have to breed, and that, you know, comes back down to, do you want to breed 30 pair of birds, or do you want to breed 15 pair of birds and have the space? That's up to you guys. That's, I think, where the channel's going to go next. I'm trying to make this video as short as possible, but I'm amped. I got my second wind. Mark really brought it out of me. I'm amped to get birds going. I like to put up a couple birds, a couple youngsters for him to race next year, because I truly feel that he's going to be super competitive. Not because I gave him birds, guys, but because of how motivated he is. Again, before we even touched a single pigeon, his notebook and pen was ready to go. I mean, this guy, he's the guy to look out for next year. I guarantee that. You know, whether my birds perform for him or not, he's the guy to look for next year. And I want to put a few youngsters off my top birds in his loft under his methods and see how they do. So that's what's coming next, guys. Hang in there with me. You know, we'll take it one step at a time. Let me think of what's going to be next. I think we'll talk about preparation for breeding, and that'll be the next video. I'll see you in the next one, guys.